see if anybody comes around and starts chatting with us.
Hey, we're live.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Huddle, where we come to you every Tuesday to talk about maintaining forward progress in your flooring career. As usual, but live, I got Jose and Daniel from Preferred Flooring in Michigan. We're coming to you live from CFI convention, so we thought we'd come, chat it up. We had a episode a few weeks ago about the importance of coming to some of this, living what we speak. We're all here.
So they know we're not messing around, right? We come to these things, we network, and we get to know a lot of like-minded people that are in the industry. And I was actually just over here in a hands-on class that I had to ditch the person that I was helping to come out here. And I went and apologized real quick. She said she's okay with it.
Forgiven.
Yeah, anything can happen. Anything can happen. People are going to be exiting the class here pretty soon. Maybe somebody will stop by and say hi.
Yeah, there's just been a lot of information here already today, and they were running a little bit behind schedule, which is why I had to run out of there and come out here to talk to you guys.
Yeah, so the basis of today is just to come live. Hopefully some people come through after the classes. There's a lot of courses and resilient class. There's a hand sewing class right down the hall here. So if they get out in time, they can come join us at the podcast. But what we really feel is important to understand is that actually getting here. Mike just dropped by. Hopefully he comes back by, but he said this is his rejuvenation and that this is time to recharge. So a lot of us, a lot of the talk earlier was about in the other episode about getting to convention and getting to the trade shows is all about knowledge and networking. But some people come to recharge and be around other flooring guys, just kind of bouncing stuff. It doesn't even have to be technical. We just enjoy each other's company. Yeah. We have common ground to talk about. So that's one of the biggest reasons to come.
And so just to put it in perspective, when we got here, right? He got here before me, and then I got here with Crystal, and then we walk up to people, and then you go to shake a hand, and they push it away. It's a give me a hug, man. It's been so long since I've seen you. We're like family. That's how you're treated here, and it's awesome because it's like, forget your handshake, man. Come give me a hug.
Bring it in.
Yeah. Everybody's always available by phone call, email, or social network. And when you're reaching out to all these individuals, you are still maintaining a relationship, but it's totally different to have that virtual relationship versus the in-person, right? The in-person is a different experience. You get to put a face to it. You get to put reaction to it. It's real live time, real emotion. Person to person, man, you just can't ever beat that kind of interaction.
Yeah, hell, I seen Dwayne Pruitt. He lives in Wichita. I seen him here. So, I don't see him hardly ever. He's in my hometown. Sometimes it gets so busy, you just need a few days away, go hang out with some people, have like I said, the common ground. You will end up working through some problems with one another. That's already happened, and I got here really late. I literally flew in, jumped in, got the rental, got set up, and here we are.
Right, I think I just seen you, 15 minutes ago for the first time, and we're like, hey, let's set this up, let's start talking.
Yeah, so we're going to be here every Tuesday, guys.
So not here, but we're going to be in the Huddle.
True. So every Tuesday, 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. You can do the other math, but come join us. This is going to be a short episode. I am hoping to get some guests on, but the whole real purpose of this is training. So they are doing some pretty significant training down the hall. My biggest ploy to everybody is come to convention. Come join us next year. Come hang out with us. I seen. Here we go.
Hey, here goes.
Hey guys.
Come on in. Join us in here.
Have a seat right here.
Oh man, I thought my first podcast would be like, I don't know, a guy talking sports or something. But thank you for letting me sit down with you guys.
Awesome. Chris?
Yeah, Chris McKee.
Paul Stewart.
Paul, nice to meet you.
This is the first time we're sitting down.
I'm Daniel.
Hey Daniel, pleasure. Nice to meet you guys.
Chris is the New president?
New president of CFI, yes.
Tell us a little bit about you, Chris.
Well, I have been in the flooring business for 32 years. It's the only career I've ever had. Started off in manufacturing.
On accident too, probably, right?
I'm sorry?
You started on accident too, right?
You want to know the truth? Do we have a time limit? I'll tell you a 2-minute story, but and this is the absolute truth. People that know me know this story well. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, went to college at Georgia Tech. My high school sweetheart was a year older than me, and she went to college in Ohio. And we stayed together all through college. And she graduated, obviously, a year ahead of me and got this amazing job that sent her in New York City. So I'm getting ready to graduate from Tech, and I have to find a company that wants to hire somebody that, will be sent to New York City. And one of my old mentors sent me a letter saying, hey, if you're interested in a good company, contact Shaw Industries. Contact this guy at Shaw. And I contacted him and I said, well, I'm really looking for a job in New York City. And he said, we always need sales guys in New York City. So I signed on with Shaw and started January 8th, 1990, entered their training program at Shaw. And that put me in New York, or in Dalton for 4.5 months of training, right? Extensive training. Started off in a manufacturing plant. You do sales training, product knowledge, field travels, all this stuff. And after 4.5 months, I moved to Manhattan, be with my girlfriend, and life's great. And 3 weeks later, we went to lunch. She told me she thought I was never going to amount to anything. She dumped me, and that was, I've been in the industry for 31 years ever since. So,
I'll show her.
Yeah, I'll show her.
I'm gonna have to stick to it until something happens.
You think I'm money driven? I'm revenge driven. But so that's how I got into the flooring business. I spent about 11 years in manufacturing, about 6+ years with the Home Depot.
Okay.
Started with the Home Depot in business development, and then became their general manager of installed services for decor categories. Mm-hmm. So I managed all the installations for flooring, countertops, interior, exterior painting, garage coating, and window treatments. And after about 6 years of doing that, I decided it'd be fun to go out on my own, and I started my own workroom. Sweet. And started a workroom, named it National Installation Solutions, Inc. It's a very funny story about that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start a company, and your name means a lot. Mm-hmm. So I said, you gotta, I want them to think that I'm big, so I said national.
Good move.
And I wanted to be agnostic, so I don't want anything in there flooring. Because I was just starting off. If you asked me to install a garage door, I'd do it. So I just said installations. And then with my experience of 5 or 6 years, I had all these relationships, and I thought I'd use a lot of my relationships to help me fulfill. So I'd start this partner network. So I said National Installation Partners. And then I wanted to tell them, I'm going to solve your problems. So I'm going to call it National Installation Partner Solutions. I said, that's perfect. Start playing around with the name, do an acronym. I'm like,
NAPS.
NIPS. I said, people are going to think I own a strip club. So I changed it. That's a true story.
I might go.
Yeah, exactly. So I changed it to National Installation Solutions, Inc. And had that business for 11 years. We were primarily B2B. So we did a lot of pro fulfillment for any kind of pro contracts that the Home Depot would get.
Okay.
That's how I started, and then the mortgage crisis hit, right?
Yeah.
And so I started doing work for REITs who were buying up a lot of houses, and started doing work for Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And what turned into part of Atlanta, turned into part of Georgia, turned into Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and
just
so it grew. And then the last 3 years before we moved on with the company, we started fulfill for, we were the biggest fulfiller for Empire Today in the Southeast. So that's kind of my history in that, and then decided to take an advantage of an opportunity to move that business somewhere else. And for the last 5 years, I've done board work and contract work for CCA and for some manufacturers. And
awesome.
Then I saw this opportunity.
Well, congrats. So how long have you been with CFI now?
I joined CFI May 15th of this year.
And it isn't official until right now because he just made the announcement here.
That's it. So, until you're on this podcast, you mean nothing.
You heard it now.
Yes, exactly.
The emails and stuff that we got meant nothing.
Nothing. This is the only validation the industry accepts.
You heard it here.
Yeah,
First
exactly.
dish.
I really enjoyed your welcome speech earlier.
Oh, thank you.
So I appreciate that. That actually was broadcast as well, just because we want to kind of show people why you come to these kind of things.
Well, there's a problem with that because you broadcast without my rights, and I mean, look at this. I'm
Yes.
a TikTok star. I mean, come on. I need
royalties.
I need royalties.
Only from your
Okay.
good side, though.
You gotta
Yeah, no, that's why I'm
That's
always
what we
looking
get.
this way.
We'll talk to John McHale about that. He's the one that gave me permission.
Well, no, I'm actually thrilled that you did because I hope people out there who aren't here can see the excitement that is here and why they should not just be a member of CFI, but participate.
Yeah, get out and that's been our
the biggest thing
Yeah.
we're trying to talk about. It's a lot of people have the mindset of why am I going to go here when it's not going to benefit me, but those are the people that don't go to
Well,
these
they're
things
looking at
that-
direct benefit, right?
Right.
They're saying, I give this effort and I get this for it. Really, in investing, you have to have a longer term view of it.
Well, so there's two things, right? There, when it comes to turning your money or turning your investment or your capital, right? Human capital or
Time, yeah.
or
Social networking, social capital.
just let's just say capital, money. There's two ways to do it. Long term is investing. That's where you understand that you put a certain amount of capital, human capital, sweat equity into something, knowing that down the road you're going to put yourself in a position to make more back. And the other way is to put your money somewhere where you get instant return, and that's called Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So
If you're lucky.
and those casinos weren't built on winners, right?
right.
So no, when I look at an event like what we're doing here at CFI, there's really multiple things that you can get if you come here. Number one, you got to be a member. If you're in this trade, you got to become a member of CFI. I don't know if your entire audience are members.
I would reckon to say no, not the entire audience, but what I'd say is a lot of the people who comment and participate are CFI.
Yeah. So if you look at our industry, I mean, we've got roughly 11,000 retailers out there. I don't know that nobody knows the exact number and who to listen to. Number of installers out there, whether it's 150,000 or 550,000. But there's a lot of people who install floors, and just like everything else in life that you do, whether it's trying to make your high school football team or trying to get a date to the prom or trying to get a better job, you got to find something to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
And the first step in differentiation in a pro trade like flooring installation is becoming a member of CFI. Right off the bat, it tells your audience that you care enough to be part of a professional organization that you want to be different. The second thing is getting certified.
Yeah.
You get certified, and what you're telling the industry and the community that you deal with is you understand the value of investing in yourself to improve the quality of the product that you offer. And these are really great guys helping me over here. Thing going.
They're watching you talk on their phone.
Yeah. And so lastly, and what I say about attending events like this is, we offer training, right? We offer classes, we offer exposure to vendors, and we offer camaraderie. But the camaraderie isn't just about having a good time. It's talking to people that have more experience than you. Like, we've got Rolland off camera here, who's 132 years old.
No, that's 132 years in the industry.
That's right. You're 150. And so, but I mean, if you're 5 years into the career, sitting down and having coffee with this guy for a half an hour is going to advance you in the intangible aspects of running a flooring business, which you are as an individual, your own business. And secondly, if you're 5 years in and you come here and you meet someone who's 1 year in, you're going to help them. right? And that's the community aspect of it that you can only get by attending the convention.
Right, you really touched on something that we've been kind of preaching too, is
Yes.
not only are you here to try and gain some benefit yourself, you're here to
Give back.
Yeah, you're here to give back. You have knowledge that other people don't have as well. So why don't you share that so that way it's not locked all inside, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one thing that you heard me say today, and other people have heard me say, is the worst thing that we can do as an organization, the worst thing we can do as individuals in this industry is from an industry perspective if we are irrelevant, right? And irrelevant means people don't know what you're doing other than your actions.
Yeah.
So but when we consolidate and we can get together and create a bigger movement, then we can start pulling the industry with us.
Yeah.
So, for years, we've been about pushing our members into the industry. What we need to do is, understand what's important to our other stakeholders and create an opportunity or a situation or environment where the industry wants to pull us towards them. Mm-hmm. They say, okay, I get it, right? These guys and gals have the right idea, the right approach. They got a plan. They know what they want to offer the industry, and the industry sees value and says, come to us.
Yeah, the power of attraction.
Yes.
One of the things that I think CFI does well is, in my opinion, what we have to do. The biggest problem that could happen is we got a lot of, say, 50 to the average age being around 55 for the installer.
Up to 150.
Up to 150.
Yeah.
The biggest sin we could create is to not get the knowledge out of their head into
It's just a waste.
the other people.
It's why.
And this is their opportunity to do it, and your opportunity to come and learn from people who have done it as long as wrong.
Well, if you just put it in a personal note that anybody can understand, that's why we should encourage young kids to sit down and spend time talking to older people. Their grandparents.
Yeah.
Go volunteer at an old folks home, because there's knowledge and wisdom that you can't learn in a book.
Right, and that's really conveyed. I talked to Zach Stacy. He did the installation competition over here. They had the regionals, and he was like, "Man, they're like just watching these guys that have been doing this for 40 years was worth just coming here, even if I don't get a spot, just to see the way that their hand skills are and the way that they do things." Was worth the investment, because now I've got new tricks in my back pocket.
Yeah, and that's just from coming. Zach's a phenomenal installer.
He is.
He's a young guy. He's very good. I know him pretty well. And coming to this stuff, his boss, who I know very well, has made sure he comes to convention. He brings his guys. I mean, it's.
And don't forget, there's just the purely personal standpoint. Feeling good about yourself, feeling pride, competition, camaraderie. Those are things that you only get by being here in person.
Yeah.
And, we had a great turnout this year, bigger than last year.
Awesome.
But as I said in the room, if you were there when I was talking, this in 3 years, this room needs to be 5 times bigger.
Yeah.
And it needs to include.
It can be.
And it needs to be, because if we're going to move the needle, we've got to move the needle, right? I mean, we've got a small percentage participating right now, not of membership, but we have a small percentage in the industry, and we want to make an impact because we need to make changes to make the fulfillment industry, or fulfillment side of our industry, better. But you're going to see next year, I'm hoping we have 100 retailers in here.
Yeah.
Right? 100 retailers who show up and become members of CFI in a different form, and they show up, and by showing up, they're saying, I recognize the value of a CFI installer.
The amount of information that is here and at everyone's fingertips is ridiculous. Whether it's hand skills or, like you said earlier, the information that you could use to help raise your business to the next level.
Absolutely.
The social capital that is here just to help an individual realize that there's more to it.
Just think about this. In less than 15 minutes, we start a class with an insurance specialist who's here. How often do people get to talk to somebody who's not trying to sell them a product, but is trying to educate them on something that isn't part of their trade, but is absolutely necessary? We also have a session with a top-notch attorney, our attorney, who's going to sit down and talk to them about how to face the legal challenges of being an independent contractor. So it's a really great opportunity.
That's something that might not be talked about in your day-to-day, right? Like
Never.
someone who's a sole proprietor might not even think about that because they're really leaning on the person giving them the work to take care of all the legal documents.
And if you have legal questions on your own, you're going to pay $500 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? And instead, you're here getting it for free. So, and somebody is just dedicated to answering your questions. So, please
thanks
come.
for joining us
Absolutely.
today and sitting down. I got one last question for you.
Yes.
Maybe putting you on the spot a little bit with just being here since, being in the position since May, but what is your initial vision for kind of how the ship for CFI is sailing? Like,
Okay,
where do you see it going in the next
So,
year,
you know,
3 years or so?
as I said to the general session today, it's not about change, it's about growth. It's about evolution, right? We need to grow and we need to evolve. So change means there's something that we're doing today that we don't want to do anymore. Well, we are a great certification company or organization. What we need to do is expand, grow, and evolve so that we become a excellent training organization. So we offer training without certification, right? Because it's a career path, right? But the industry has to realize we're not just fighting to get a young person to choose to do this instead of working in the auto trade or in the framing industry or painting. We're competing against Amazon and Walmart and Target and Costco. I mean, where I live in Georgia, a 17-year-old kid could graduate high school and start at $18.50 an hour minimum wage with full benefits at Costco, right? So we need to be able to get that person so we can get them working right away and earning a good living. It might not be certification, but it's a training so that they can start to work. And then after, they work for a little while and say, wait a minute, I can invest a little bit more of my time, effort, and money and get a level 1 certification. And that will present them more, get them further along in their career, and then level 2 and level 3. So as we look forward to CFI evolving, I think we got to continue to be the absolute superior certification company in the industry. We also have to do a great job of providing entry-level training. And then last but not least is we have to work on the connectivity with the industry. And that's the biggest part. And it truly is the biggest part, because without the industry recognizing the value in CFI, then it will never be able to be what it really is. And we're going to do that by really taking a hard look at our 4 stakeholders in the industry, which are manufacturers, resellers, installation professionals, and consumers, right? And then you have to understand what value is there, but how do each one of those 4 stakeholders look at their own value proposition or what they're looking for in a value proposition. Then we need to make sure that CFI is meeting the needs of those values, and we got to map it. And that's kind of our vision and our strategy. And then as we turn that into a strategy, then it becomes a plan. And that's the most important thing going forward to now with CFI is we've got to have really solid, structured plans and processes so we know that we're heading in the right direction, and we can ask our great volunteers to help us get there and not just throw them out there and say, go train people.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's not just a certification, it's more of an educational platform.
But don't miss the connectivity.
Yeah.
Right? You got to get the connectivity, because that's what's going to determine whether we really make a difference. Because right now we've got to use the connectivity to take the industry to say, I get it.
Well, we have to open back up the gap. So I read an article about what we were talking about just a few moments ago about retail. The gap in pay has always been pretty substantial between skilled labor and retail. Retail can move a little bit faster because most retail is
You mean retail flooring?
just retail employment.
Oh, retail
Costco's,
employment. Yeah.
This stuff. They can move so fast because they're huge companies. They raise their price, take a little hit on their stock, whatever. And I'm talking not just flooring, but skilled labor in general, move slower in that escalation of wages. So that's another key factor I think we all need to be aware of, is we need to open that gap back up where your entry-level guy going to Costco is, because we used to hire guys at $15 an hour. Now you got to hire them at $22 an hour, and they may not know much. Right? Because you got to open that gap. For them to work hard in a skilled trade, it has to have more value to them.
Well, we have to give them it's got to be defined, right? It's got to be defined and clearly lay out, right? If I walk into a Home Depot, and I'm not talking as an installer, right? I'm just talking about working retail. If I walk into a Home Depot or a Costco or a Target and apply for a job and get accepted, you can say, all right, I'm starting at minimum wage, but they have a very well thought out HR program that says, if you do this, you can qualify for a senior associate, then a department head, and then an assistant manager, and then a store manager, and then a district manager. And you know what? These companies are filled with stories of kids that started at 16, and the next thing you know, 20 years later, they're running the company. And those are real stories. We have to build the same path.
That's rounding out
Structure.
your vision.
Absolutely.
Right there.
Absolutely.
That's what you want to create.
That's what we want to create. And it begins by having the strategy, then the plan, then the processes.
Well, we wish you the very best, because you got a heck of a road ahead of you.
Yeah, we did.
And we're here to help you guys out too.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's why we're all here.
I appreciate it. Well, why don't you shut down the damn podcast and let's get to work.
It's a pleasure.
Great.
Thank
Nice
you
meeting
so
you
much.
guys.
Thanks.
for
Appreciate
inviting me.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
So,
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, non-scripted.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
we're gonna.
Who else we got?
we got Paul Traynor coming in right now. He'll tell you a little bit about himself.
Hi.
Hi.
Matt, I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul. I'm Paul.
I'm Paul. I've never met you guys before.
Right. So we met Paul 2020 over at Surfaces, and have been communicating with him ever since. He's
Starting with the competition. Speaking virtually, in person, yeah.
Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Are we already recording?
Yes, we're live. We are live.
Oh, I wish I would have done that. Okay, start from the beginning. Redo.
Hey,
You didn't know this was a live, did you? Look at us. Look at the camera. There. Hey!
Oh, man. Gum in my mouth and all. Okay.
it's good.
Yeah, he's chewing too.
We're
I can hear-
just yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, I'll have a second here to
But,
say
no, this is
hi.
real. This is real. So everyone knows who you
Okay.
are, right? This is real reaction, real time.
All right.
There's no hiding it, and this is what resonates
Okay.
with anyone who's tuning in.
They want to see the real stuff, so just let us know about you.
Yeah, well, all right, you got the real me. My name is Paul Traynor. I work with Informa Markets. I work on the International Surface event. Most everyone knows it as Surfaces. If you are a stone fabricator or a stone quarry, you know it's for Stone Expo. And if you're on the tile installation or the sundry side, you probably know us from Tile Expo.
Yeah.
And the show's been on since around 1990, 1991. I started my career there when it was owned by WFCA. I was trade show coordinator. They sold the show in 2000 to Hanley Wood, and it was like a buy one, get one free package. Buy the show, you get the trade show coordinator free. I went off with them, moved to Dallas, and stayed in Dallas for 15 years, and worked on Surfaces for another 4 years before I transitioned off onto other new shows that were coming into the company, and taking care of those, and then transitioned back, coming back to about 2017, and I was working
That's
on
when
a
you
different
rejoined
show.
Surfaces.
I rejoined Surfaces in 2018.
Okay.
Worked on another one of our events in the Los Angeles area for about 2 years before we sold it again, and that put me right back into Surfaces. So one big circle.
Nice.
Career.
And all glory.
Right, I 100% know that they're lucky to have you because I love talking with you. You're super awesome
Thank
to
you.
work with.
Thank
And
you.
I appreciate everything that you've been doing. It's not gone unnoticed.
And,
Well,
and
thank
you've watched a lot of installers, including Daniel, maybe myself a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, transition from when we were first introduced to the events to where everyone sits now, right? Like you've seen more action than we have. We're still fairly new. We're considered new.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of transitions have you seen and effects for installers and individuals, companies, stores.
So let me set this up just a bit. A few podcasts ago, we were talking about the importance of getting to convention, obviously, but also like the other trade shows, getting from the installer standpoint. Some of them are not as well attended for installers, so we're trying to encourage them to get to services, get to coverings, get to convention. So I think that's kind of what we're driving at here is what type of transitions maybe have you seen from people coming to shows and getting more involved and then just really loving this thing?
I didn't know there was any other shows besides TICE. That's new to me. Tell me more about these other shows you've heard
Tell me
of.
about this. Yeah.
The transition has come fairly frequently. I would say up until, I'd probably say 5, 6, maybe 7, 8 years ago, you could see almost all, not just installers, but everyone was siloed. And if you were carpet, you were carpet. And if you were tile, you were tile. There was no blending and there was no cross merging between anyone very much. Later and very recently, you started seeing a little bit more openness and talking amongst each other. I think CFI and installers are a little more open to it. Retailers, by and far, especially in the early times when I was working on surfaces from 1997 to 2004, retailers would know each other and would be friendly maybe in their communities, but they would not share secrets. There was everything was a secret, everything was a trade idea, and you didn't want to share because you didn't want your competition to get a leg up. Whereas installers, 100%, I've always seen where installers share their ideas and share their discoveries and strategies to run a better business, quicker techniques, better practices.
We love sharing that stuff.
They do. And the retailers were just sitting here like this, guarding it very, very tightly.
Even if you go back to when I competed in 2020, my competitor, Mike, I looked at his and I was like, how did you do that?
Right.
And then he had no issues with saying, this is how I did it. This is where you can find some information on it. That way, some of his stuff 100% looked better than mine. And, he's got that experience and the knowledge to know where to look for things. And then just him expanding on that and letting me know, taught me, all right, this is where I can find information. Anytime anyone else has a question, I can point them in that direction as well.
And to roll it back to your point, it all rolls back into events because now going back to surfaces much more deeply, having come back to Informa, retailers are more open, installers are definitely more open, everyone's sharing the information, everyone is now talking, and I believe that it is the trade shows, conferences, events, that information is all shared and everyone can kind of sit down on an even playing field and talk about what's working, what's not, and figuring out that together the boat can rise or we don't have to protect our piece of the pie.
It does seem like the shows are kind of like more open arms to installers now too. You see this last year I seen way more than in the past, and it's like they're welcomed more. If you talk to an installer 10 years ago, they probably didn't even know about any of the shows, but if they did, they thought it was only for the manufacturers to go make deals with some distributors or something like that. And that business happens there, and that's great, but this open arm and the installation competition and all that really seems like it's brought in more of the installer community, and to me that's really important because those guys understanding, one of the best things I ever did is went and seeing how carpet was made when I went to the mill. It was eye-opening. So just being involved where those opportunities come up and being involved in TICE and getting to that show, getting here to convention, I think it can really kind of, maybe not quantum leap, that might be a big word to use right there, but elevate your chance for success as an installer. That's what it's all about. This is all about elevate. Yeah. So
It is true. I recognize too, for many companies, especially independent contractors, which most installers are
Yeah.
independent contractors, unless you have the luxury of maybe a retailer who's willing to pony up the money and send you out to an event. That's money out of your pocket. One, you're gonna have to pay registration fees, you're gonna have to pay hotel, plus the time away from your business. And all of that, especially time away from the business and not being able to do jobs, is money right out of your pocket.
Yeah, it's
So
a true investment.
It's an investment. It
Yeah.
really is, but it will pay dividends with the connections you make and the opportunities it can grow. First time I ever met Daniel, would never have imagined that eventually he's going to be speaking for me in the programs.
Yeah.
But it all makes sense. It takes those connections, and I may not be able to find you if anyone's staying home and
You gotta
and
shoot
not
your
going to the
shot.
event.
You gotta shoot your
Exactly.
shot.
yeah, so get to convention, guys. I mean, get here, get to Tice. Tice, by the way, is awesome. I've been going for many years.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the show, and you guys do a wonderful job putting that on.
you.
So
Yeah.
it's
Bigger and
it's-
better in 2023.
Hey,
It's
wanna
going to be
let everyone know the dates and everything.
January 30th through February 2nd is the entire show programs day with our pre-show day and then the 3 days of the show.
Yeah, come this year. You got
That's a good
6
time.
months to plan. Let's do it.
Paul's gonna be waiting for you. Both Pauls are gonna be waiting for you.
The Pauls will be there, and we will be looking for you. Well, thanks for joining us. I really
pleasure.
appreciate the time and getting to know you a little bit. And I'll
Absolutely.
definitely look for you at
Great.
Surfaces this
Yeah,
year.
see you around.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Nice to always talk with you guys.
Yeah.
See you around.
Always a pleasure.
Bye.
I think we need to get this guy over here. 100
Rolling.
150-year-old guy over here real quick. He's gotta grab his cane.
Hold on. Get in the walker.
Yeah, right.
What's going on, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you.
How you doing? Good, my man. How you doing?
So Rollin participates when we're not together, so it's fun having him here when we are together too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Always a
we've
phone call away.
Good program, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to get on and chat with everybody and just have
That's what
good,
it's-
meaningful
That's
conversations.
what it's about. It's about educating the industry, about getting together as installers and people, you know.
Tell us a bit about you, because you do some pretty interesting work.
Well, you know,
Or tell I mean,
them.
for the
Tell them,
audience
okay.
that doesn't know,
well, you know,
tell us a little bit about,
I have a little retail shop in Frederick, Maryland. You know, of course, starting industry as a, subcontractor for a lot of years, and I still get out there doing it. But I have a little retail shop, and, but yet I get out, I do inspections for manufacturers, I, teach and train it with CFI and NFIC and anybody else will let me teach it, because I believe in education.
well, and giving it your knowledge is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's got a lot of information in there.
I try. My daughter, my oldest daughter, she's a CFO for a company out in Oregon. And she was home one day and she was looking through my portfolio, because I have a portfolio, And she looked at me and she says, Dad, she says, you know how many years of college it would take for somebody to get this portfolio, And I looked at her and she says, yeah. And I said, well, I guess that's my college. And that's what, I have guys ask me today, they'll say, what do you mean you're gonna go to this training? Or go to the convention, or go to a certification, or go, and I go, listen, none of us know it all. And so, I'm gonna go to it because I wanna know everything I can with the industry. And whether it be a seminar for a salesperson, I want to know all aspects of the industry, whether it be one for the manufacturer, whether it be one for, a training or for a new product out there.
Well, you just spoke about being an inspector, doing inspections. Do you think that would be, it would be a good practice for installers to get an inspection certificate, to get trained as an inspector?
I think, I didn't think about that aspect of it till towards the end of my career, because, fortunately for me, You know, the Lord's been good to me, and my body is still in, you know, for 134 years old. You know, I'm still walking upright. Pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, and can still hold up to these younger guys on job sites. You know, but you got to look at the future. And looking at the future, you know, you're to where you get to the point that you want to get off your knees, because you got to look at that.
Yep.
You know, and so looking at the future, inspections is one of those futures.
Yeah.
You know, going to work for a manufacturer is one of those futures.
Yeah.
Going into a dealer and working into sales is one of those futures. So to have that future, you got to be open to look at that, at that when you're looking at it. So if you don't want to travel around and be a tech for a manufacturer or something like that, and you want to stay local because you have family and all that, then you want to get with a dealer or learn that aspect of it. And that's what I did in 1995, middle of 95. You know, I thought, you know what, I'm pretty well versed into where I'm at my location in my installation, as far as, you know, I had a good contracts, you know, I was making a good living with it and everything else. But now I want to learn more. And to learn more was going in and learning the other aspects. Learning, you know, I started going to sales seminars. I actually went to the junior college and took some customer service courses. You know.
Yeah, it's investing in yourself.
Right.
I mean,
and so I wanted to learn that end, so I would have I was more versatile, more valuable. And as an installer, you can start looking at that, and you can and go into, you were talking earlier with Paul, going to the TICEs, going to the NWFA, going to coverings, you know, going to the CFI convention. You know, that all is part of that package of making you more rounded and valuable. And so as far as the inspection, that's another avenue that you can go into.
well, and I would think that it also helps an installer to understand
does.
what inspectors look for.
Correct.
Because when you go through training, you say you're new and you're learning. We'll just use carpet. Say you're learning carpet, and you kind of get your feet wet, and say 2 years down the road you're installing on, and it's valuable to understand what on the other side, what the manufacturer sees as the most important pieces of that installation. So that's where I see that getting certified as an inspector, even if you don't use it right away, is valuable knowledge for you to put the final pieces of the puzzle together and say, you know what, I know they look for seam seal on
Did it help you
carpet.
become a better installer?
Well, it helps you know what to do, you know, because they're again talking about that. The inspection portion of what I do is small because of what else I do as far as my business and all that. But I have it there, and I keep my foot in it and do it, but I can call the shots of when I want to do it.
Yeah.
And how often I want to do it. Who knows? You know, when I went, instead of being 134, when I hit 135, I might decide to flip that around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so,
Well, you're still crazy enough now to get it into like these restaurant.
right, you know,
Restaurant
you know,
Impossible.
yeah, you know, and I do, you know, and when I go and do those, you know, and guys like Jose and that come and help me, I don't say, you get in there and do it and you come back and just drink coffee. I get in there with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
You know,
There's circles around me.
you know, so I get in there with them. I'm not asking them to come and help me do this and put them to work and say, you know,
Yeah.
make me look good. You know, they do, but still make me look good. You know, I mean, his sister has a video of me making a miscut.
Hasn't been published yet.
I'm sitting there and I'm cutting in this piece, really. I'm cutting in this roundless pillar. And she come up with the camera and I'm looking up and you know, you just think, and so I went, psh, and as soon as I did it,
You knew.
you know, because I was looking up at her, I'm like, oh crap. Oh
You
no.
only do stuff like that when someone's watching.
You know, she was filming, you know, I'm like, you know, and she's sitting there filming, and I'm like, and I cut to one side, dropped it down, and as soon as I went like this, I went out and sit again, and I've got to lay this down here, and she's got the camera rolling. Oh, no.
And then she was filming smiling.
Yeah. So anyway, so I laid it down, and of course she had to come there and focus on it. She didn't go and focus on it after I fixed it and you couldn't see it, but she focused on it.
Well, you gotta get some collateral.
You know, it's like, really? You know, so yeah, so, you know, doing the rest of round possibles and all that. But, you know, but I want to tell you, you know, talking about to the guys, and we're talking to them out there, is that, you know, never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
You know, I mean, I have lifelines, and part of the lifelines is you network, and networking is what you get here.
Yeah.
Is what you get at, you'll get in, and even the forums, you know, I mean, they're lifelines, and they're networking. And
There's more opportunities that can be created and generated from involving yourself in the industry instead of just working on what you think you need to work on. There's more to it, and you might not know
Yes.
what else you can work on until you come to a place like this. You put yourself out there, you ask questions, you make sure that you leave yourself vulnerable, right? Humility.
Well, you know, and you know, what's nice about with, you know, CFI and, you know, and all the organizations is that, you know, I'll get a phone call from somebody. You know, I have this situation. You know, what am I supposed to do? There's times I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
So I don't know everything.
Yeah, you reach out.
Right? So fortunately for me, I go, okay, well, let me go look at my stuff. And my stuff is, I hang the phone up and I call somebody and go, Mr. Namba, what do I do here?
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, there's lifelines that you get with this, you know, or I'll call, you know, let's say they call me and it was a piece of Mohawk. Now he's with engineered floors, but it used to be if they call me for something with Mohawk and it's something new.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, and I call Andrew Smith, but you have that information, that person to call.
It's about getting to the shows,
Exactly.
getting to know those people, and then having those relationships to lean on.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks, Ron, man. I appreciate you joining us
problem,
today.
man.
It's been a pleasure.
All right, always a pleasure, guys.
Thanks.
Let me see.
And thanks for participating. Take it
see
easy
if I can get out
on
of
the hip.
this chair.
Take it easy on the hip.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right.
There's no way I'm following you. 135 years of experience.
That's right.
My name is Scott Humphrey, and I'm in the industry.
Scott, how you doing, sir? Good to see you.
Yes, yeah, good to see you again.
You gotta,
What you guys are doing
you gotta
here?
puff it up a little bit. This guy does 1,500 push-ups a day.
Man, I just did 200, so I'm sweating like a dog right now, but I'll get them out of the way here.
200, literally.
I do about 500-600 a day.
You're the man.
I just did a couple hundred.
nuts, isn't it?
I wouldn't be finished. I need today, so I have to get them in tonight.
Well, awesome. Welcome to the Huddle.
Thanks.
These guys and
Love what you guys are doing. This is awesome.
Thanks,
Platform for the installer. We get a little voice out there.
yeah, that's right. Well, I'm trying to encourage them to get to convention, get to the different trade shows, and just get involved.
Yeah.
A lot of the install community has felt siloed over the years. That I was just talking to Paul, and you can see it at TICE. You can see more install. You can see the opening of the arms to the installation community. And I think this is the time when our audience needs to get to these events. Invest the time. I know it's an investment. We all have day jobs,
It is.
but we come to these events because we see value. I've been doing this since I got out of high school. So all the years of experience tells me to get to these events each year.
Well, you learn more here because you're interacting with the people that live your profession. And some of them have experience where you don't have experience. You might get that online, you might get it in a class, but you can pick it up here from word knowledge. You won't get anywhere else. If there's ever a time that the installation world needs to come together, because you're right, we've lived siloed, maybe by accident more than on purpose, but because we didn't have an event like this to come to. CFI has been around, but the reach of CFI has never been as great as it is now. We got the opportunity to bring people in from all over and say, okay, listen, let's combine our voice. Because when you're out there individually crying, hey, foul, we're not getting paid enough or whatever it may be, you're one voice. When you get together with an organization like this and you cry out, they hear you.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference. Yeah. Power numbers.
Definitely power numbers, and in cross-communicating between, flooring companies, retailers, manufacturers. A lot of these events allow you to sit next to the president of EF contractor,
It's true.
Or CEO.
Yeah. And we didn't even properly introduce Scott. Scott Humphreys.
Everyone
is
knows
the
who you are.
I don't know that I'll ever get used to that title,
CEO of WFCA.
Listen, I grew up in a 10-foot wide trailer. I'll never see myself as a CEO, but I do realize the power of all of us getting together. And what you're doing, what you're creating with Go Carerra, the opportunity for an installer to have a platform.
Visibility.
Yeah, the visibility, the necessity for the industry to embrace what we're doing never happened. It's the reason that when I came on board with WFCA, I said we have to have CFI under our realm. We need to combine the voices of retail. Not just retail. I mean, 90% of our membership is retail, independent flooring retails. It's also manufacturers, distributors, vendors. We get all those voices combined with the people that are on the front line, reaching our customer last.
Yeah.
Then we can make a difference. But we got to be willing. Listen, I tell people all the time, it's like steering an aircraft carrier. You turn the wheel, but you can't see anything happen.
Yeah.
And we all want the same thing. We've just got to come together, put down the silos and the walls, and say, okay, let's tackle this thing.
Yeah. Well, I see that happening more.
I do too.
I mean, I really see the advancement in the communication lines. Your Leadership Live that you do every week, I believe.
Yeah, every Friday.
Is awesome. If you guys are not on the WFCA's email list, get on it.
And
the Leadership
not only
Live
that,
is very valuable.
Not only that, the membership is free.
Yeah, membership is free to you. Unless you're a manufacturer distributor, they pay a very minimal amount. But
It means it costs you nothing, guys.
Right.
It's kind of free.
As an installer, the membership is free. Why not take advantage of that?
Yeah, you got to, because the resources are there. There's so much you have access to on our website, and there's just we think about what are the needs of the people that are coming to our site. What are the needs of our members? And when I left Shaw and became the CEO of the WFC, I asked myself one question: what should an association do? Well, associations exist to solve the problems of their members, right? So what's the biggest problem in our industry?
Right here.
Installation. And we had tons of silos talking about it, but nobody was actually doing anything about it. Everybody was saying it's your problem, it's your problem. And so we knew when we brought CFI under our realm, we were saying it's our problem.
Yeah.
And we want all of us to address this together. That's the reason when we helped create FCEF, it was all about be part of the solution.
Well, I love that. I love that talking point that you bring it up fairly often. Is don't just complain. Like get involved.
Yeah.
There's organizations with WFCA, CFI, Go Carerra,
NWFA.
NWFA. There's all these
every letter of the
organizations that are
Basically.
All the acronyms, all of them.
that's available for you to get involved. And if you don't like something, your voice is more heard today than ever. As an installer, you have a better chance of making impactful change that you see necessary, but you have to come to convention, you have to get involved, become a CFI member, if you're not certified or trained, it's very simple.
Yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Go
So
get
we all gotta
trained,
start
get
squeaking together.
certified.
Yeah, we're really working with manufacturers to get them to require certification for warranties or extensive warranties. Taylor, by the way, is doing an amazing job. They double the length of the warranty if you're CFI certified and you use theirs. We hope everybody sees the common sense in that and comes on board, because when we drive certification, we drive professionalism within the industry, which draws more people into it. They want to be part of a professional career.
As they see the value in that, right? You're investing your time to increase your knowledge, and they see the value in that. So they understand that you are putting forth the effort to understand the science behind
That's right.
the product that they're pushing out. So that's why it's, I want to say, easy for them to extend that warranty, because they know that you're investing the time. So why not invest back into those individuals, those companies?
But I can tell you that there's large retailers. So CFI's training and their weight, it carries in our algorithm for our hammer rating and Go Carerra is one of the heaviest trainings, period. So
That's cool.
what that means is we're working with several national retailers, retail chains that are going to be coming down the pipe as full remodels of their tens of thousands of locations, and they're writing in their specifications. I helped them write their specification, to have a minimum hammer rating. So that hammer rating is directly reflective of CFI's trainings and certifications and all that. Not only do you have a hammer rating, but we tout that it's also CFI. It's all in the profile. So point being is this is becoming more important to retailers. The reason behind that, as it was explained to me by a very large retailer, is we thrive on consistency to our customer. That's what they do. If you're a automotive store, you want the same experience for your customer in North Carolina as New York. Whether you're eating a hamburger or because the world has become very nationalized that way, right?
Very much so.
They want the same consistency that they provide when they get their construction projects done in our field.
And their
that's
customers
flooring.
want that same consistency as well.
They want the consistency, and so now they're starting. A very large retailer is writing in their spec for minimum hammer rating because they want that consistency no matter where they get their flooring installed, any of their locations all over the nation. And that comes from getting Go Carerra does no training. We don't train nobody. You have to go to CFI, you gotta get trained. It carries a lot of weight in our algorithm that we give, that gives you your skill score and your hammer rating, but you gotta get to convention, you gotta get trained, and get the certifications as well. And there's gonna be opportunities opening up, whether it's spec that you gotta be CFI trained or CFI certified. I know CTI on the CTF.
Yep.
I hope you guys know all these.
Yeah, but we just fly
I'm
through 'em.
sorry.
We're used to them now.
But
NWFA is the same.
yeah,
There's-
those guys are getting specified now. This is gonna mean money in your pocket as an installer.
And that's what really matters in the end.
And we would be lying if we said we never got a phone call because of our affiliations and our certifications. It's been a trickle effect, right? Like, it puts your name on a list of qualified individuals or companies, and you never know when the phone is going to ring because of those connections that were made.
Well, it limits your competition.
Yeah.
There's only a
Correct.
certain number.
It does. What it does is it creates separation from you and what you consider your competition, and it puts you in a category all your own. And depending on the market in your area, you might be one of 3 or one of 30, but you're still separated, right? You just increase your chances of landing a project. You just increase your chances of generating that revenue, whether it's on the sales or just the installation side. You just increase your visibility.
And then not only that, it's once you elevate yourself to the point to where you become one of the most knowledgeable people in your particular area, they call the other guys because they're looking for someone, and then everyone will point their finger back at you. And we've been pretty fortunate, so that has.
Well, what a
happened
blessing
numerous
that
times.
is to get.
To that level.
Yeah,
You're
like
getting-
another.
Your peers are referring you.
peer
Yeah, your peers are
become a
referring
subject
you.
matter
Yeah,
expert.
it's no longer a competition at that point. You are sharing the wealth, and you are understanding that you as an individual have limitations. But you know what? Because of the network that we've created, I know someone who can take care of you. I know a
right.
company, an installer.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be you. It can be one of
Yeah,
the
it's-
relationships. And by the way, again, it's the reason you need to be at these meetings. You meet people that can be a resource for you to help solve some of the issues that are impacting your opportunity for success.
Yeah. Scott, I
This is
know you're
awesome.
a very busy man.
Yeah, I'm heading
I want
on
to
down
thank
there to
you very much for
Call.
joining us.
Thanks a lot,
It
guys.
was a pleasure, man.
Best of luck. Anytime
Thanks a
I can
lot.
help.
All right.
We have recruiters right now that are seeing guys walk by or individuals.
We only have 5 minutes, guys. I would love to have more conversations. Hopefully we can get Daniel over here back to say bye. But look, we've had a great time today.
He's not a-
We're running out of time on this podcast, and what fun has it been? Oh, big sis.
Listen, she went to the nap. It's okay. Busy.
So we're wrapping things up. We're running out of time. Say hi. Everybody get to convention next year, and Tice again is end of January, I believe you said, right?
End of January.
Check it out, and thanks everybody for coming by. I didn't get to any questions. We just simply ran out of time here.
Are we out of time? I wanted to get.
We got about 4 minutes before.
4 minutes. We're just talking about the importance of trade shows, and why do you think that other installers should come over here?
Way more important, really off.
That was. We've been doing this to everyone.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So chime in. Don't be shy.
So I guess just start with introducing yourself. You want to sit down right here real quick, or?
We have 2 minutes, guys.
Yep, we're running out, but let's.
Hi, I'm Ruben Carter with Floors by Southern Boys. You may know me from YouTube. Have all kinds of how-to videos and such like that. Anyway, this stuff like this right here that they're doing is super important. You get all kinds of hands-on knowledge and stuff like that. They're actually starting to get more and more into doing teachings here. If you don't do something, by all means, it's good just to come and get your fill of it. I just went through a resilient class that I've never done before. I don't do resilient, but I always wanted to check it out and do some inlays and stuff like that. So I had a chance here to go and get a little test with that. So you get to meet people,
Learn new skill, meet some new people.
tons of
Maybe jump on a podcast out of the blue.
Yeah, somebody say, hey, come here for a minute and put you on a podcast.
Ruben, we appreciate it, man. I knew we were running out of time, so
I appreciate you guys.
Caller in there.
No problem.
Come join.
Come join
All right,
us.
guys.
Hey guys, thanks.
CFI.
CFI.
You got one?